Good evening and welcome. You're watching To The Point. I'm Rahul Kamal. This is another big India Today impact story. The Modi government confirming that the NIA has recommended shutting down cross-border LOC trade. Mehbooba Mufti is up in arms. She says there should be more trade, not less. What is the way forward? We will debate that. Big India Today impact. The Modi government today confirming what the NIA had suggested, that it wants to go ahead and look at the possibility of shutting down cross-border trade along the line of control. Remember, over the weekend after India Today first broke the story, the Mehbooba Mufti government in Jammu and Kashmir had reacted angrily, with the Chief Minister herself suggesting that the loopholes should be plugged and trade with Pakistan should be enhanced. But the NIA report is very firm. In an 80-page report being submitted to the Ministry of Home Affairs, the National Investigation Agency says that there are way too many loopholes, and these loopholes are being exploited to fund the Hurriyat and the terror operations of various organizations in Kashmir. The NIA wants the terror trade routes to be shut down. The Modi government seems to be in a mood to endorse. This is a big India Today impact.
On 16th June, India Today laid bare how Hurriyat generates terror funds via cross-LOC trade, and how the barter trade routes are exploited by Pakistan jihadis. We had exposed how truckers do the bidding of terrorists, selling excess goods in the Indian market, pumping a whopping 500 crores in the hands of terrorists. After our expose, the National Investigation Agency had called for a sweeping curb on trade routes misused for terror. But Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti remained in denial. But our investigation has now forced the centre to crack the whip. The Modi government today directly took on its ally, the PDP, and echoed the NIA stand on cross-LOC trade.
ऐसे मामलों पर सुरक्षा एजेंसियां, सेना, जम्मू कश्मीर सरकार और सभी दलों के साथ चर्चा कर फैसले लिए जाते हैं.
The agencies like NIA or the other security agencies are privy to certain inputs, and we must trust them.
Even Mehbooba's deputy hinted at scaling down trade with terror-backed Pakistan.
Pro-separatist terrorism को जो है सपोर्ट करना कोई वाला होगा, चाहे जम्मू का होगा, चाहे कश्मीर का होगा, चाहे देश के किसी भी हिस्से के ऊपर होगा, उसको कानून के दायरे में जो है उसको सख्ती से निपटा जाएगा.
As Pakistan continues to trade treachery, will India plug the loopholes and choke funds helping Valley's villains? With Ashwini Singh in Jammu, Bureau Report, India Today.
Joining us now, we've got Nalin Kohli, national spokesperson of the BJP. RSN Singh is a security expert. Wahidur Rahman Para is a spokesperson of the PDP. The strongest opposition coming from the PDP. Wahidur Rahman Para, the India Today investigation, which is being followed up by the National Investigation Agency, clearly shows how cross-border LOC trade is being misused. It's being misused to fund terrorists, it's being misused to fund the Hurriyat. I can't for the life of me imagine why the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir would want terrorists to receive funding. If the NIA believes that this is one way in which the terror funding pipeline can be choked, why don't you support what the NIA is suggesting?
Look, we don't have problems with the investigations of NIA. I mean, they're entitled to carry out a fair investigation, and it will be too early to comment on what NIA is investigating so far cross-LOC trade is concerned. But yes, there are concerns, as you rightly pointed out, that it may be used for fueling trouble. But at the same time, you need to understand this is one of the biggest CBMs in the past we have done. And we are doing this trade between Kashmir and the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. If you give up the trade between this Kashmir and the Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, it also, will create question marks on our claims that we are making on the other side of Kashmir. And second important thing, you need to understand that if you defeat the idea of this trade, it is the victory of the terror, not the victory of the trade or NIA. So continuously and consistently militants, terrorist organizations have been trying to scuttle this process of trade when it was started way back in 2004, and there have been repeated attempts from the all sides. A lot of people
RSN, do you agree with that? The PDP suggesting that if you shut down these trade routes, the terrorists win. And they never wanted the trade in the first instance, and therefore if you now agree with what they're saying, it's a victory for the terrorists, not for the people of Jammu and Kashmir.
Rahul, let me complete.
I think you've had your say. You've set the stage for this debate. I promise to come back to you for more. Let RSN Singh make his opening observations. I'll come back to you in just a moment. Go ahead, RSN Singh.
Rahul, there's I have a fundamental difference with him. Pakistan is coveting J&K not for its people but for the territory. And the territory POK also comprises Gilgit-Baltistan, and I am surprised at this desperation by the Honorable Chief Minister of J&K, as if they are trying to peddle that this is only about Kashmiris. There's nothing to do with the people-to-people contract or trade with between say Kargil and Sakadu. I mean, this is where we have gone fundamentally wrong, let me tell you. Fundamentally wrong, and that is why Kargil happened, because we had, mentally given up that territory. I mean, even now the discourse is the same. And the Kashmiris are peddling the idea that it is, all this is, only concerned Kashmiris when there are no Kashmiris in POK.
That's an important point you make, Nalin Kohli, because there are essentially two options at hand at this time. Option number one is that you try and fix the loopholes. You can try and put scanners to check whether the declared tonnage is the tonnage of the materials being brought. Right now there are no scanners. You can find various ways of plugging loopholes. The other is shutting down LOC trade per se. Your alliance partner, Mehbooba Mufti, suggests open more routes, plug the loopholes, don't shut trade.
Normal situations bring in normal solutions. Abnormal situations bring in abnormal solutions. The normal ones don't operate. At the moment, the PDP has a point of view, and why shouldn't they have? They are entitled to have a point of view. The critical issue is, and no decision has been taken, but the critical issue is what is the impact, how widespread is the misuse or abuse or the motivated use of this concession, if I may use that word, in terms of trade by those who are fueling problem in Jammu and Kashmir and terrorism particularly. End of the day, while the state has a bounden duty to look at the prosperity of its citizens, the primary bounden duty is to protect the security of the citizens. So if something is having a collateral damage in terms of the terrorists or their financiers or the network or all of it harming the larger interests of the state, then obviously even the state or the center or the agencies are going to look at it from that perspective.
Absolutely.
So and
Wahidur Rahman Para, I think one of the fundamental problems in the argument being made by the PDP, Mr. Para, is that you're saying the Kashmiris are suffering. Well, the small traders are not involved in this trade at all because of the complexity in getting trucks across either side of the LOC. Most of the traders are big traders from Balimaran in Chandni Chowk to Jammu. So the small trader who you claim to speak for is not involved in this trade at all. In all the NIA investigation, most of the trading, it's about 1,380 crore rupees of trade. Most of it is being controlled by the big traders, not by the small traders who you claim to speak for.
Look, Rahul, there are technical questions and then there is a political question angle to this entire trade. And the first thing, when you talk of technicalities, this trade is being maintained, regulated by the central agencies. There is army, there is IB, there is national other agencies involved. So when you are doing trade with Pakistan on other checkpoints, whether it's international border at Wagah, other places, if you don't have problems at that place, why do you have problems at this side? That remains a one question. We can always fine tune the things. We can put more regulations, we can put more customs, and we we can also strengthen the process of trade. Now, for us politically, what it matters is that there are divided families between parts of Kashmir, and it has been our continuous process that when we you see ceasefire violation taking place, infiltration, shelling taking place, all these families are badly affected. These are our families. I mean, you all have those concerns as well, but you have to reach out to those families, and we've been trying to create this trade is a CBM as well between the divided Kashmir, between the Kashmir which is Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and it also, we as a country maintain a principle that that part of Kashmir belongs to us. The people. Do
you buy this argument, Nalin Kohli, that this is one of the big confidence building measures with Pakistan, and if you stop cross LOC trade, that CBM is thrown out of the window? Do you accept this argument at all?
I did not talk about Pakistan. Look, Rahul, Rahul, I did not mention Pakistan. I said the Pakistan occupied Kashmir, the people living in that side of Kashmir. This is a CBM with the divided Kashmir, and this is also, are you giving up the claim on that Kashmir as well? Tell me, what is our position as a country? What is your position on POK side? Do you want to reach out to those people, the people on the other side of the fence, or not?
Okay, I'm not going to participate in the debate. Rather, I'd let Nalin Kohli and RSN Singh answer. I'll go to Nalin Kohli first. He says you somehow give up your claim to POK if you stop cross-border trade. Do you buy that argument, or do you think it's far-fetched?
No, I wouldn't. That's a point of view. I don't think so. I mean, what operates in India is what the Parliament's resolution is, and that's very clear, and that involves everybody. So there's nobody who's an exception to it. The second part to it is, let's also look at the nature of the trade. I don't think that CBMs need to necessarily be only money-based or finance or economic-based. For example, I've been told that, almonds and other products come through Pak-occupied Kashmir into the Indian side for markets beyond Jammu and Kashmir, far greater than the produce, that is 10 times over, 20 times over than what Pakistan produces itself.
Absolutely.
And it's certainly not in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So if this is merely to be a route for something to start elsewhere, say, through other networks, reach Pakistan, then travel this to escape customs duty, because that's a requirement, it's a different situation altogether. So you need to look at the depth of it. The second part is, when Sushma Swaraj ji gives a visa and says to a person who writes to her, tweets to her that I am a Pakistan occupied Kashmir citizen, I'm here unable to come because we are not getting that clearance letter from the government of Pakistan. She says you don't have to, because we consider you our own. Now that's a huge confidence building measure. And I think it goes far beyond any kind of economic understanding or relationship. This trade is primarily meant to be for the benefit of the two areas, not to be used as a loophole by others coming down, bringing products from the rest of Pakistan, including helping the funders and the terrorists and all. So therefore, if there is a problem that's serious, the interest of the state, its people, is primary. That's why you look at it, whether we need to block it, whether we need to stop it, these options will be seen.
Absolutely, Mr. Para. This is a very interesting point, because a senior NIA officer I was speaking to told me exactly the same thing. If you look at the total quantum of almonds exported to India from these two trading points, it is more than the production of almonds in Kashmir. So you've got Kashmiri almonds, which I've grown up eating, lots of Indians have eaten, and then Californian almonds, which are much bigger, far more tasteless, less nutritious, but very different. I'm sure you've grown up on Kashmiri almonds as well. But what is being imported instead are Californian almonds instead of Kashmiri almonds. You've got this trade infrastructure being misused to pumping in terror, to pumping in funds into the Hurriyat conference. The Mehbooba government should be supporting Prime Minister Modi and saying, let's jointly put an end to this so that Kashmir stops burning.
Well, Rahul, I've been telling you that there can be loopholes which can be, strengthened. You can fine-tune the entire arrangements as it's being fine-tuned at other places where you are doing trade with Pakistan. And if you don't have problems with other points, you should not have problems when it comes to Kashmir. So we should not use two different routes. And second important thing is, it's better to focus and talk about infiltration. The people in Delhi, central agencies, army and NIA should focus more on infiltration, stop infiltration, than the trade coming from Pakistan side. So why are you not debating those things? I mean, this is ridiculous when you talk of preventing trade.
Okay, RSN Singh, respond. The army, he says, not able to stop infiltration. You want to stop trade. He says plug loopholes. His solution is plug loopholes. Don't shut the trade itself.
No, I want you and Mr. Nalin Kohli to listen to me very carefully, because he's a party spokesman. I am talking as a strategic analyst. It's a very, very clever ploy by Pakistan to, to narrow down this, people-to-people contact and trade between, this part of Kashmir and, the part which they, called Azad Kashmir, which is only 6% of the territory, leaving out that huge chunk, Gilgit-Baltistan. Now, let me tell you, Rahul, it's a very, I'll tell you one thing, that till 80s, I am aware, till beginning of 90s, people in Gilgit-Baltistan, in their houses used to make 10 chapatis extra in the hope that, the Indian army will come and rescue them. But nobody, no chief minister of Kashmir, obviously it has to be a Kashmiri chief minister, ever talks about people-to-people contact between the Shias of Kargil and the Shias of Gilgit-Baltistan. Does anybody talk about, cross-border trade of Ladakhis with the people in Tibet when they have got historical links? So for God's sake, we have done a great disservice. Great disservice into becoming a victim of this narrative. And the objective of this trade was maybe to bring tranquility. Sir, it has not brought any tranquility.
Absolutely.
Therefore,
I think that's a good point. That the idea was that this cross LOC trade bring peace into Kashmir. Instead, it's brought funds for terrorism. It's brought funds for the Hurriyat.
The Pakistanis were so brazen that when they were caught smuggling drugs, they stopped our trucks.
Para
as if,
respond.
They had a right to, smuggle drugs.
Let Wahid Rahman Para respond.
People are behaving like zombies now, because the terror financing is going. This is a huge industry.
Yeah.
Separatism is a huge industry, and who is what?
Like
I'm telling you,
it's okay
the
if you
big.
want to continue,
one at a time. I think you've had your say, RSS. Let Mr. Para respond.
He had made a point.
Who is shouting?
He is not making point. He is just trying to shout. I mean, let me make. We are talking about a very important issue.
Nobody will make such brilliant points. Let me tell you, I know Kashmir in and out, and I have served.
Yeah. So let me make my point. Okay, fine, sir. Fine, sir. I respect your viewpoint.
Go on, Mr. Para.
Well. So we respect your viewpoint, R.S. Singh. We are not questioning your intelligence and experience on Kashmir. My point is that when he talked about Ladakh, Gilgit, Baltistan, PDP, if you read the manifesto of our party, we are being very clear that we want trade across all sides to revive the traditional roots. It's not about we want trade with Pakistan for being accommodating them or anything else, but it's just lifting the sense of siege which people have been thinking from there. We just want to revive the traditional and conventional route ways. You've been having trade at other points with Pakistan, with other countries. So why do we have a problem when it comes to Kashmir? That's the whole point. And the second important thing is that it's also about addressing the divided side of Kashmir. It's also about addressing the people living in POK. So that's very important. The whole liberty of this trade is being given to the people living in POK. So what is your communication and message to the people in POK? Those who
okay. So I think you've established at length where the PDP stands on this. We'll slip into a quick break right now. When we come back, I'll ask Nalin Kohli the bigger question. There seems to be a clear divergence between the new hardline approach of the Modi Sarkar vis-a-vis the more soft-line suggestions of their alliance partners in Jammu and Kashmir. Is this inevitably, over a period of time, going to lead to a split? Are the differences irreconcilable? First, Mehbooba Mufti played down the importance of the arrests of the Hurriyat terrorists, calling these mere administrative measures, saying you can arrest the Hurriyat separatists, but you can't arrest an idea. Then she's staunchly opposing the shutting down of cross-border trade. Are we, Nalin Kohli, seeing fissures emerge which will inevitably lead to a split in this alliance? Are we seeing a political realignment in the making in Jammu and Kashmir as well?
That's a hypothetical question, because there's nothing. Today there is a state government which is a coalition between the BJP and PDP. That the BJP and PDP have had divergent views or very clearly articulated points of view is a known fact. It's historically completely consistently known. The mandate called for us being together, and we are in government. So therefore, to say that, is this leading to a fissure or collapse of government, I won't buy that, because we are in government. We may have our points of view, but when it comes to the safety and security of citizens of Jammu and Kashmir, as for any Indian citizen, when it comes to fighting terror, neither the state government, which is where the law and order is a state subject, and their police forces are going out there, their special operation groups are doing there. They are working hand in hand with the army, with the others. So why do we call it fissure? Because a lot of terrorists who have been gunned down is because of that cooperation between all the concerned agencies. These are points of view. End of the day, a larger decision is always taken keeping the larger interests in mind. It's not meant to be a detriment to anyone. These confidence building measures also came up keeping the larger thing of welfare. But if in doing something which is presumably for welfare, if the outcome or the collateral outcome is disastrous or is perpetrating terror, then obviously it calls for a
Wahidur Rahman Para,
that also, as
if there is ambivalence on both sides, then the coalition can still continue, the ship can sail through choppy waters. But with the Modi government taking a strong position like it has, with Mehbooba Mufti taking the strident positions that she has, are we inevitably seeing the beginning of the end of the BJP-PDP alliance because of the kind of measures that are now being put into place?
Well, this government was not formed in the news studios, and it will not end up like that. I mean, this is how media has been talking about from the day when we formed the alliance. You've been trying to campaign on such issues. You've been trying to object with us. There are differences, but it's in a democracy. You will continue to have. We agree to disagree on certain issues, but the larger aim is to serve the idea of integration of Kashmir with the mainland. But we have different definition at some points. I mean, PDP and BJP are two different political parties. They have a national constituency, we have a state constituency. We see things through a local prism, they see things through a national prism. We may agree to disagree, but that doesn't mean that it just ends, because we are not in power for the sake of power. We are not in alliance for the sake of government. There is a larger angle behind this alliance. If you read the manifesto and if you read the alliance of agenda between PDP and BJP, it talks about why do you need to be in government. It doesn't talk about that we want to be in government. It's just why there needs to be an alliance and a government between Jammu and Kashmir, because you have an unresolved problem. You have alienation going on in Jammu and Kashmir. We have failed to integrate Kashmir with the mainland through multiple prisms, multiple alliances, after having series of elections. And what's wrong, what went wrong? We've been trying to correct things. It will take some time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has a powerful mandate. We have full faith in the institution of the Prime Minister, in the institution of Narendra Modi, and Chief Minister has been repeatedly saying it, that he is a man who can take a stand on Kashmir. The Prime Minister has repeatedly said that I want a permanent solution to this problem. He wants to end uncertainty. Now the point today, the biggest challenge for this government today is that you need to understand we have a 60% young population. You have young people who are getting alienated, radicalized, who are getting intolerant, vulnerable to violence. We need to think about things through a local prism. There are local views, there are local aspirations, regional ideologies, and it's okay. In a country like India, we should coexist because of our differences, and that's how we have survived and how we should evolve. And I don't think that respecting such views is a damage. If we start respecting such views, it will bring more vibrancy to the whole idea of this country.
Okay, as they say, jab Miyan Biwi razi to kya karega qazi. There may be serious, irreconcilable differences. But if the PDP and the BJP are prepared to work through those, then the alliance can last. They may bicker in public, but the marriage doesn't end in divorce. Both the PDP and the BJP seem to want that. Let's see how this resolves. This is where I end our broadcast this evening. We're slipping into a break. We'll have more for you when we come back on the other side. Stay with us.